Blessings and grand risings. Welcome, welcome. If you don't know who I am, my name is Miss Grace, and you're here with me 3 days a week while we go over political, social issues, all types of things from a non biased perspective. Okay, let's give the algorithm a chance to send the notifications out. Today, as I promised, we're going to be following up with some of the topics we've been talking about, and I have been keeping my eye on what Trump has been doing since he got in the office. Okay, so yesterday we reported a W. We reported a W yesterday related to Trump. Thank God he didn't start the new year with any drama. A W for us as far as the National Guard being let off of the hook to be involved in this crazy Operation Blitz and all of that stuff. We talked about that yesterday. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. The numbers are good. Please hit the like button as you come in. And as I say, if you get in the comments, let's just put some respect on this. Show everybody around the world and the audience that America has some common sense, or Americans. Okay? Now, today I wanted to talk about what's going on because this today, I'm just gonna have to be real because I'm non-biased. It seems like Trump has almost gotten a W. That means a win. Okay, so I'm gonna do a short flashback on what has been happening in Venezuela over the last couple of months. I think starting over about September to October time, Trump started to basically bomb little boats in the Caribbean island, caught people off guard, and then he declared like a pseudo war against Venezuela. So let's look at that. We're going to get caught up to what has happened as of January 1st into January 2nd, where new Venezuela boat attacks have taken place. Meant that we have confiscated Venezuela boats, okay, oil boats. So we're going to talk about the legal side of that, and we're going to talk about how it affects us, our political stance out in international waters or international relationships. Blessings. How are you? How are you, Emmanuel? Blessings. Let's get to it, all right? If you like to stay informed, this is the place to be. Please get in the comments. This is what's going on today, according to Al Jazeera. Okay, what's going on here? Let's play it. Do we got a volume? Hold on. It's a little blurry, y'all. This is the release of what's going on now, where new attacks takes place in Venezuela. 8 boats. This is it. Bear with me. This may have no volume, but what you see here is basically, according to Al Jazeera, we look at all types of news. They're looking for 2 survivors who allegedly survived this decoy. So this is the grainy tape that is being released, where again Trump has hit these boats that's alleged to be narco drug lords, and we have survivors. Now we're going to go into some of the implications. I keep trying to get that word out for the last 2 days of what it is for us to have 2 hostages here allegedly. Okay, because some news saying that we had 2 hostages, and then some saying that we don't. But we're going to talk about it because we got some hostages here. Trump got some hostages. Let's watch. However, the military has not released evidence to support that claim. So this is a flashback. This is a couple of months ago, probably a couple of weeks ago. Let's play this one.
Military targets 5 new alleged narco boats. The U.S. Southern Command says these boats were targeted Tuesday and Wednesday along known narco trafficking routes. Video released by the military shows 3 boats traveling in a tight formation before being destroyed. Southern Command claims the vessels had transferred narcotics before the strikes. However, the military has not released evidence to support that claim.
I was just about to say that if they saw them in the middle of a drug bust, why didn't they get them in the middle of the drug bust? They would have caught a 2 for 1. But we're gonna keep going. You know what we do here. We pay attention to details. I be hearing stuff, so I'm like, okay, if they made a sale before they got into the waters, why you didn't get a 2 for 1? And where did it happen? Where's the details?
Officials say this latest attack brings the total since early September to at least 115 deaths across 35 boat strikes. It comes as President Donald Trump says the U.S. hit a dock facility in Venezuela that he claimed was used for loading boats linked to drug trafficking, marking what he described as the first known strike on Venezuelan soil as part of a broader pressure campaign.
There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats, and now we get the area.
In December, the U.S. military also...
So as you see, we already officially touched the land. I didn't know that they hit a dock. Did you know that they already hit a dock in Venezuela? They already touched their land. Listen, I'm going to report this non-biased. I think Trump may think he got a win because we got some news at the end of this. It seems like Venezuela president want to come to the table, but let's just build the momentum up to see what's going on, because it's the why for me. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, the why for me, because wherever we're at, as far as our money is going to these countries, not only is their destiny is tied to us, but that's our tax dollars that we can be using for us. So let's just keep going.
Also carried out another strike on an alleged drug trafficking vessel in the eastern Pacific Ocean, killing 2 people, according to U.S. military officials. And President Trump has defended the operation as necessary to stop the flow of drugs into the U.S. as the administration ramps up pressure on Venezuela and President Nicolas Maduro. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Okay, so you know what we do here. We go through international news, Indian news, American news, all types of stuff. So this is 2 months ago. Now, the reason why I bring this one up, because I'm still have some questions about this. There's 2 survivors in custody that they say that they have here, but according to my Google search, something else different is coming up. So let's talk about this real quick, because no matter what, if this is a win for Trump, meaning that he's about to bring Maduro to the table and make him talk for whatever reason, negotiate resources, oil, it's the why for me. And it's also the international relationships that is and may be obscured behind our practices in America. We have to keep this real. So let's watch this real quick, because this is highlighting that there were 2 hostages allegedly.
We are also tracking developments in the United States conflict with Venezuela. NBC News has learned at least 2 people survived the latest U.S. military strike on an alleged drug vessel. Those survivors are now in U.S. custody. President Trump spoke about the strike earlier today from the White House.
That was a drug-carrying submarine built specifically for the transportation of massive amounts of drugs.
President Trump was also asked about possible talks with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The president said Maduro has, quote, offered everything to resolve the growing dispute. As for why Maduro has done that, here is what Mr. Trump said.
He doesn't want to around with the United States.
Oh my goodness.
NBC News senior national security correspondent Courtney Cubey joins us now. Courtney, let's start with this latest strike. The president called it a submarine or some kind of submersible vessel. What more do we know?
Yeah, and that was a big surprise. So far, the first 5 of these strikes that we've seen video of, grainy video and highly edited, but you can tell that they're surface vessels, right? Well, now we've not seen video of this strike yet, but the president announcing today that it was what he called a submarine. Now, Kate, most likely what that means is what the military calls a semi-submersible. So they are essentially little submarines, but they kind of float closer up to the surface. They even have
wait, y'all. Now we gonna watch them little videos as we go through. Now y'all know they not no submarines. Now if y'all remember my last broadcast where I talked about this, the percentage of drugs coming into America, like that cocoa, because that's actually the highest percentage that comes in. It comes through submarine boats. That's what it said as far as the information that I obtained. Now they're trying to obscure what we're seeing. Those are fishing boats that we're seeing. We're not seeing submarines, because submarines don't usually float like semi-submersive. Does that make sense? If they're gonna go under to be inconspicuous, you know, they're gonna be under the water. So we already some game is being played here, because remember, no matter what, if Trump gets a win and Maduro comes to the table and say, hey, I want to work with you, it doesn't mean that the world is not looking and we don't have hundreds of other countries that's about to like really stop messing with us. I'm just being honest. Let's just be really honest about this.
Ship that's sort of up above the surface there. But they do look a lot like a submarine. But that really, the notion that this was a semi-submersible or even a submarine makes it even more astounding that two people were able to survive that blast, as we've seen from these.
So it's a submarine, y'all, and two people survived it? Come on, America. Come on, America and Mega. We smarter than this, though. Come on. Look at her. She looking stupid. Let me let her finish playing. I'm sorry. Let's finish listening to this. But this was a flashback. But you hear it's the nonsense and the propaganda for me. Maybe I'm hearing a little different. Y'all let me know what y'all hear. But when you tell me that they have a submarine and then two people survive, and that submarine is kind of semi-floating on top of the water to be identified, it's the wow for me. It's the wow for me.
Previous strikes, as soon as they hit, the boats have been going up in flames. There's been large explosions. So we're still looking for answers. But as you mentioned, two individuals survived. They now were picked up by the U.S. military. U.S. Navy helicopter search and rescue spotted them not long after the blast. They are on a U.S. Navy ship. The question now is what happens to them now that they are in U.S. custody. That's another question we're asking.
And that's what I want to know too. And because guess what? Now when you Google search this was 2 months ago. That's what I'm saying. We're going to be in deep doo-doo some way, somehow. Because it says the premises that Donald Trump is holding hostage for Venezuela appear to be based on a misunderstanding or miscommunication and characterization of the recent events. This is how it's coming back, right? Okay? The actual situation involved U.S. military strikes on alleged boat strikes. This is how they're going to, when you go do your little Google search and you start putting stuff together. And I'm like, okay, let me give exactly what they gave me and let it be condensed. And I'm going to read it to you guys because that's a contradiction on what I'm seeing here 2 months ago. But the update is saying that we don't got no hostages. But she was just saying, what are we going to do with them? But according to, as I say, all information here is for information, educational purposes only. You may find something that contradicted. Please share with me. I don't mind learning because a lot of this news contradicts itself. I'm looking for the consistency. That's what I'm looking for. And consistency means it's the truth. But let's get to it. What they're trying to recategorize this as right now is U.S. military strikes on alleged boats. The U.S. military, under the Trump administration, has conducted multiple strikes on alleged drug traffickers, 35 to be exact, according to that, in the Caribbean and the Pacific Island since September 2025. Operation Southern Spear. Did you know it had a name? We figured it out today. Survivors was temporarily detained. Survivors of some of these U.S. strikes were detained temporarily by the U.S. Navy and then generally reappropriated to their home countries. But if there are drug warlords and they're coming to bring drugs to our country, and this is the guise of why you're shooting the boats down without due process, I'm just saying we're going to talk this out. Let's make this make sense because, Google, they be trying to fix some stuff. Shout out to you, Google. But we do think as humans. We're not cyborgs. Like, you can feed us information, but there is a lot of us that literally, do what I do. Okay? I love you, Google, because you make it easy, but big baby, I'll be like, yo, this is a little contradiction. But cool. Let's keep it going. So they said they sent them back to their country, but they were drug warlords. The U.S. is not holding hostages at all in none of these incidents. Venezuela detention of Americans. Separately, the Venezuelan government has detained several Americans. I'm going to have to get a server that's outside the United States. Africa got their own internet, right? I'm going to have to tap into that so I can get some more unbiased news because my Google sound a little biased, but let's get to it. It said, but on the other hand, Venezuela is holding hostages Americans, which is common point of tensions between the two nations. But these two detentions are not linked to boat strikes. So there's some people who's in detention in Venezuela, obviously, that Trump and this guy the Venezuela president may start negotiating, because this is allegedly Trump W for me this morning, because it sounds like Maduro wants to. Thomas Maduro. I'm sorry. He made me think of that song. Seems like he wants to negotiate. So let's keep it moving. I just wanted to hit it up just a little bit. It said alleged, we're gonna get into alleged international laws that is violating. Okay, because now they saying they ain't holding hostages, they sent them back. Okay, let's move forward. But this is the issue for me too as well. International law violations. Okay. Let's show you this. Let's show you this first. U.S. issues fresh sanctions, because after this, after they had blew up the ship and the people was holding on the side and they tried to shoot it again, then he put sanctions out there and declared basically that he's about to touch down ass in Venezuela. And obviously they touched down already in Venezuela, because you just heard that they touched the dock. So they already touched land. So to think that we're waiting for him to do this, he did it already, okay, guys? Usually when they say they're going to do something, they did it. So according to Reuters, it says Washington in Houston reported December 31st, the United States on Wednesday imposed sanctions. So these are new sanctions on 4 companies. It said that were operating in Venezuela oil sector, as well as associated oil tankers. And that's where we're going to get to the legality of us holding their tankers, still in tankers. Mind you, this is international waters. Even though I know, you know, that they're not going to come on American land and lock up these people like our president. But he will have places that he cannot go, because he may not make it back. But we're going to look at that too, because it's not only that, is a factor. But the factor is that other countries are setting up oil. They have oil reserve. They have oil transportation going amongst countries that is basically locking America out. And we're going to talk about that, because I didn't give you the statistics of our oil reserve versus China and Venezuela. China and Russia. And I'm saying that because those 2 countries said that they would have supported Venezuela. That's why I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Because those 2 countries said that they was going to support him. But then he left. Allegedly, according to NBC, when we get to it, he wants to talk. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the Ruckers. Let's get to the Ruckers. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Miss Grace. I'm here 3 days a week. Get to know me a little bit, and I'll get to know you guys. Early this month, Trump announced a blockage of all sanctioned vessels going into Venezuela water. Okay. As part of the strategic pressure on Maduro, a move that has helped knock down Venezuela oil exports this month, about half of its exports in November. So obviously they've been hitting Venezuela pretty hard. The U.S. Treasury Department said that the state is imposing sanctions on oil traders engaging in sanction evasion through Maduro. Who do you think they talk about? Who you think they talking about? Let's put our baby on timeout, because he over here jealous that he can't get into this conversation and understand it, baby. Just watch us, okay? You're doing a little bit too much in the audience today. We need intellectuals here, people who could think outside the box. But with that goes to say, who is that third party that's evading the sanctions through Venezuela? That is, I think, China and Russia. So they're saying that the shadow fleet refers to a ship that carries oil that is under sanctions. They are typically old. Their owners and their owners are antique owners of boats. So they own older boats, and they sell without top tier insurance covering to meet the international standards for oil majors. In many ports, whatever, Rutgers. But let's just keep our eye on that. Okay, so just a breakdown of what Rutgers had to report. It said that it was increased pressure on Maduro, which caused his oil trades to go down in the last month since November, about half. So this is another strike 3 weeks ago where U.S. strike Shirtless survivor hanging on wreckage for hours. For an hour. Let's get to it. This is brought to you by, reported by Reuters as well. But this is a video. So this is the one that was hanging on the side. Okay, and we're going to talk about this because it's international laws that they violated.
Boat in the Caribbean back in September reportedly shows two shirtless, unarmed survivors hanging onto a boat, working for about an hour to flip it back over before they're then struck and killed.
Oh my
Reuters
God.
reporting this morning on the content
Wait,
of the video.
oh,
described by
wait a minute, y'all. Okay, so the people who have been watching me, do y'all remember that they said that these people who was hanging on the side of the boat, they were trying to call their boss and they were trying to salvage the drugs? But then on this particular broadcast, you see how things advance? That's why I like to look at different broadcasts. They're basically saying they were an hour at wreckage. And then I guess when they finally saw a body moving, that's what they did. That's what they did.
sources to the publication saying that it shows smoke clearing and two men who had somehow lived through the blast
Oh my
clinging
God.
to part of that vessel in an attempt to survive. The Navy Admiral commanding strikes told lawmakers on Thursday that there was no, quote,
Yes, we
"kill
are,
them all"
Anthony.
order
Yes,
from
we are.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to report.
I'm going to keep it real. Thank you, Anthony. I already know what it is. That's why they come so disrespectful in the audience. But guess what? They still got to learn from us. They still have to cleave to us no matter what. They stole our inventions. They stole our ideas. They stole our style no matter what. That's why they so hostile. So I really just get at those type of people the way I do because I know it's an underlying jealousness and hatred. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for saying that because I ain't mad. Because I know they can call me a ninja to the day I die because I am. That's what God people was called. It is what it is. Go do the history, baby. All right. Thank you for your comment.
Is also known as the Secretary of War. However, some Democrats who watched video of the strike say they're left with questions after two survivors were killed. And of course, I do want to mention that that video has not been made public yet. However, President Trump says he is open to doing that. Now, Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley appeared for a series of closed-door classified briefings at the Capitol as lawmakers conduct an investigation after a report that he ordered the follow-up attack that killed the survivors to comply with Hegseth's demands. A lot to this.
Okay. Now you see this. Let's listen because at the end of the day, you're going to see what happens. These people are going to take the fall for Trump. They've been throwing Hegseth under the bus, Bondi under the bus, slowly but surely. But they're saying the second strike was under Hegseth. And then you heard Trump make a statement that he didn't know about the second bombing, according to our last broadcast. So that's plausible deniability. Trump knows what he's doing. Let's continue to listen. But again, the story doesn't make sense because now you're saying they were out there for an hour. Exactly what I said. They waited for that smoke to clear. And as soon as they saw a body moving, they shot it again. They said, well, we're not going to take hostages and allegedly give them back to their country like the first two. Yeah. Please hit the like button if you like how we broadcast here, non-biased. I will say, if Maduro is going to negotiate with Trump, something is weird, and this is a little W for Trump, a win.
Here, so I do want to bring in retired U.S. Navy Vice Admiral Bob Moret, professor of practice at Syracuse University. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today and help discuss this further.
Thanks, Josh. Good to be back with you again.
And first off, I did want to start by asking you kind of an overall question here. As you take a look at the situation that played out there, what is the role of that admiral in deciding exactly what to do here? And is he essentially supposed to do whatever Hegseth wants him to do?
Yeah, Josh, great question. It has to do with the delegated authority that any Secretary of Defense has to do for any operational commander at different levels. During the time that Admiral Bradley was doing that, he was actually in his previous job as the commander of the Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, before he became the overall four-star commander of SOCOM, which he is today. And authority was delegated down to him, which is not unusual for operations consistent with the rules of engagement, which a thing we'll probably get back to. And, that kind of operational decision-making goes all the way down to infantrymen and captains of ships.
Now they want separation of powers I'm going to put this video for you guys to watch the full clip. This is a flashback of a couple of months ago where he just broke down his his legal analysis of this and how they do separation of powers now. Like, yeah, well, how did he get to make the decision without Trump? Without Trump. Yeah, but let's get into some of the international violations. Violations of United Nations Charter prohibits on the use of force. The UN Charter generally prohibits the use of force between states, countries, except in self-defense against a armed attack or with U.S. Secretary Council authorization. So there is some chain of commands. It's not just our Congress say, yeah, let's go do it. If they have a treaty with these people, they need to go to the United Nations and, if they're all part of United Nations and talk about this before it even gets to this point, though. We don't do none of that. You know how Trump did. We rule the world. Legal experts argue that drug trafficking, while a serious crime, does not constitute armed attack, justifying military force under international law. And no Secretary Council authorization was obtained. Now, the next issue is extrajudicial killing. If Trump felt like the killing of these people just by bombing them, no due process, no evidence, this, that, and the third. My thing is, if you had those two hostages, what's up? Why we send them back allegedly? According to Google, my Google searching had to condense, and I was like, oh, they back, we don't have hostages. I thought that's what I saw. So this goes under the extrajudicial killing. If the actions are considered law enforcement operations outside of the legitimate armed conflict, the use of lethal force is strictly limited to situations of imminent threats to life. Experts argue that striking boats, not submarines, because they switching it, they mutating it. That's why I watch everything. I'm like, this is mutated. First it was boats, now it's submarines. But again, back to the extrajudicial killing. Experts argue that striking boats and killing individuals who may have been low-level, non-threat smugglers could amount to extrajudicial execution or murder charges. War crime, if deemed an armed conflict, even if an armed conflict were determined to exist right now, because there's such thing as war crimes, the international killing of individuals who are, towards the combat, out of combat, they're not in combat, such as shipwreck survivors clinging to wreckage, it is a potential war crime under the Geneva Convention. That's why we have to go into learn about Geneva Convention, the Hague Convention, especially dealing with these pedos. We're going to get into it and possibly go back into posse comitatus and these things that we need to know as citizens so we can talk about it. They don't want us to talk about the legal implications of this because we're going to switch the conversation. We're not going to be stuck on the propaganda like, oh, snap, he blew up a boat, boom. Nah, let's get to where this is about to head us to. Because no matter what color, creed, wherever you from, sex, if you're in America, when shit hit the fan, y'all going to forget about all that shit. And we're going to have to get together. So at least some of us will be on the same page and know where we messed up at or where we going. That's where we at right here. We trying to be prepared because obviously they have a plan for us that we don't know. 2026, I'm not here to play. I'm here to slay. I'm not just going to survive. We're going to thrive. We're going to ride this one out. I'm just keeping it real. Hit the like button. Leave our family. You know what we do. We thriving. We're focused. We're not into no drama. We're about to get this money, put it in the right place, even if it's going to be outside the United States, inside of the United States. We're not about to play. Because when the bombs hit, you're not going to stay on this land. You're not going to be like, oh my God, I got to stay right here. You're going to plan. You're gonna need some damn resources. So just in case, Okay, now, moving forward, hit the like button to the people who know what I'm talking about. So, violation of law of sea. Do you know it's separate laws of the sea? Under the UN Convention of Law of the Sea, countries are generally not supposed to interfere with ships in international waters without proper legal basis, such as hot pursuit, like they were just chasing them, something just happened. Now my thing is, okay, if they caught them in the middle of a drug transaction before, why you just thinking stop them? like they said in the news broadcast. Maybe we would have been okay under the hot pursuit thing, but let's move forward because we dealing with narco terrorists here. Last thing I want to hit is violation of international human rights law. I know Americans, we are the best. We got everything. Nobody can touch us. Nobody else is human but us. Everything is a shithole country. And y'all know I'm being sarcastic, but everybody is human because we're made under, one covenant, God. And we all bleed the same blood, organs, and all types of shit. Like, we just pretty much the same. But, I just got to remind my Americans that everybody is human so you can understand this law. Violation of international human law. Regardless of the armed conflict, international human rights law applies and prohibits the arbitrary deprivation of life. I may have said the first word messed up, but shut up. The use of lethal force must be at least the last resort of protection of life, which critics argue was not the case with these international shootings. Let's go. Okay, so let's move forward. I know that was a little long-winded, but I hope you understood. I hope you guys did. Now, let's see what we're about to show you. We're about to show you what's going on today years old. U.S. military strike. 5 alleged drug boats killing 8 possible survivors. So today years old. There's more survivors. One day is according to AP News and other news, but there's 2 survivors that they're hunting down. So now we're hunters. Now we're hunting down. We're hunting them down. So this is the grainy picture, which looks the same from all the other pictures. But basically, we're hunting 2 people down. 8 people was unalive. Let me see if this have any words. I think it will get to something. If not, we're going to just move on. But this is, again, I think it's the same video that they keep showing us. Don't y'all think? Just not even different angles. It just looks the same. All right, let's keep it moving. Because that was supposed to be an update. Excuse me. That's the nose cam, guys. And if you don't know why I'm shooting like this, it's because last year I was exposing the Democrats really hard on the south side of Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. I got family out there, and they blackballed me. They messed with my IP address, did a whole lot of stuff. So I've been started from scratch, doing exactly what I do, exposing the crooks. Y'all know, if y'all don't know, I'm a separatist, okay? And I got a new name for this year, separatist informationalist. Okay, separate from the bullshit, and I look for the information that is the truth. So U.S. Coast Guard right now is searching for 2 individuals that is allegedly missing from the boat. Look like the same video. Let me see. It says on December 30th, it says at the direction of Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. They tagged that as, y'all not going to be able to see this. I'll put it in the community post. They tagged him at the direction of him, not Trump. Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted kinetic strikes against, this is really small, 3 narco-terrorist vessels traveling at a convoy. These vessels were operating by designated terrorist organization in international waters. It says intelligence confirmed that the vessels were transitioning along known narco-terrorists. Bear with me because this is really small, according to Reuters, and had transferred narcotics between 3 vessels prior to the strike. So why y'all didn't get the other 3 vessels? 3 narco-terrorists aboard the first vessel were unalive in the first engagement. The remainder narco-terrorists aboard the other 2 vessels jumped overboard and distanced themselves before following on engagement strikes their repetitive vessels. So basically, they jumped out before Trump, Hegseth people shot them. and they're looking for them. I sorry my read was like this, but this thing's small as all heck. But we did it. Okay, let's get to the news and see. So they jumped out like, baby, we about to get up out of here, allegedly. And they're looking for these people. So this is U.S. versus Venezuela. Trump out CIA secret strikes while Coast Guard combs ocean to find survivor. What do they mean? Let's see this. This is Hindi's time. Okay, it's gonna be much different than American news, y'all. Let's watch this one. You know it's gonna be different. They're gonna say something much different. Pete going to jail, right? In these times. Hold on, y'all. They're gonna start talking. Give me a second. They're gonna start talking. It's showing up. There we go.
Smuggling. The U.S. Coast Guard launched a search for survivors after U.S. military strikes hit suspected drug smuggling vessels, according to Reuters.
Now wait.
The strikes targeted a convoy of suspected...
Wait, just listen, y'all, because the news I was starting to show y'all gonna see the marked difference from American news from other people's news. Now, I'm not saying the other country news are the truth, but they go a little bit deeper with what they're saying, at least giving their country people to be able to critically think over a subject matter instead of them just keep repeating lines after lines. I meant to show y'all yesterday one of the articles that I had researched. Literally, it was the same headline on AP News, NBC News, CNN. I was like, damn, they didn't even change the title. So, but peep this, when we watch other country news, it be really deep. They give more detail. I'm just going to keep it real. And y'all let me know if I'm lying.
Drug smuggling vessels in the Pacific on December 30th, in what officials described as part of a broader counter-narcotics mission. U.S. Southern Command said 3 vessels were hit during the initial engagement, which unfolded in international waters.
Right.
U.S. Southern Command.
Right, exactly. Marcus, that's your name. You said, what if they start blowing up cruise ships? Yeah, by accident. What if they have? Because they're telling us anything. First, these were sailboats, and now you see how it's merging into submarines that's not submerged totally, that's not trying to cover themselves. I'm being sarcastic because that's just stupid. If you a submarine, narco terrorist boat, how the hell would you be halfway up so they could see you? They think we stupid, y'all. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for being here. You know, respecting our platform. I love that everybody wants to, speak your piece. Please, get in there.
And said, and I quote, Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted kinetic strikes against 3 narco-trafficking vessels traveling as a convoy. These vessels were operated by designated terrorist organizations in international waters. Intelligence confirmed the vessels were transiting along known narco-trafficking routes and had transferred narcotics between the 3 vessels prior to the strikes. 3 narco-terrorists aboard the first vessel were killed in the first engagement. The remaining narco-terrorists abandoned the other 2 vessels, jumping overboard, and distancing themselves before follow-on engagements sank their respective vessels. Following the engagements, U.S. Southern Command immediately notified U.S. Coast Guard to activate the search and rescue system. U.S. Southern Command later confirmed another set of strikes on 2 additional vessels the same day, extending the operation. The second set of strikes on December 31st.
Wait, y'all, wait. Stop. Now, do that look like a submarine? Come on now. I know we think we the best people in the whole world and they don't got technology like us, but come on. Come on. Okay, let's go. Just let me know.
People, according to U.S. Southern Command. A U.S. official told Reuters that 8 people abandoned their boats and remain missing after jumping into the sea.
This is today's
the Coast
news.
Guard deployed a C-130 aircraft to search for survivors over the vast Pacific area, Reuters reported. The Coast Guard said it is coordinating with ships operating in the area to support the rescue mission and widen the search grid.
Officials said search operations are continuing despite uncertain survival conditions in open water, according to Reuters. U.S. officials said at least 6 people may have survived by jumping overboard before their vessels were destroyed. This is not the first time there have been survivors following U.S. strikes under Trump, with earlier cases prompting repatriations. In October, 2 survivors
Is
were repatriated.
repatriation, I don't know that word, but does that mean bringing them back to their country? We'll look that up real quick. Y'all go Google it real quick. Help me out.
After a similar U.S. strike on suspected drug boats.
That ain't no
Reuters
submarine. I'm about to
Later
beat
that
your
same
butt.
month,
What? For real? D. That was a submarine. We gonna look at that again. I can't. I'm not about to play, y'all. Come on. I'm blind. I'm spiritually blind, D. Okay, I'm gonna run with you saying that's a submarine.
A search was launched after another strike left a survivor missing somewhere at sea. Earlier, a controversy was sparked due to a double-tap strike that allegedly targeted survivors after an initial bombing.
Right.
On September 2nd,
You asked that right question. Why would we strike a boat that was already abandoned? You said that they abandoned. Thank you. We asking the right questions here. We just trying to figure this out. It's the why for me.
the U.S. carried out a follow-up strike to kill survivors of the first bombing of a boat, drawing human rights concerns. The strikes are part of a broader U.S. anti-drug campaign that has been underway since September across maritime corridors. Since September, the U.S. has carried out over 30 strikes on suspected drug boats, according to figures cited by NPR. The campaign has killed at least 110 people across the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, NPR
That's a
reported.
boat.
The White House says the
Now
strikes
y'all know
aimed
that
to
one
cut
was a boat, D. Come on now. I'm not about to rewind this. Let's get through this video. But D, you know that was just a boat. You gonna have to press replay. You gonna have to put the glasses on. You saw all that stuff on there, that cargo. Submarine supposed to be covered over the top.
off illegal drug supply routes before narcotics reach U.S. shores.
They over there just
The
doing
latest sea
anything in
strikes
the
come a
waters.
day after Trump boasted of hitting a Venezuelan dock area used for drug shipments. Trump called it a place where they load the boats up with drugs and described a big blast of the site during his remarks.
So my question is, okay, y'all, we gonna finish watching this because I love this. You see how they broke it down really good for us. Okay, so if you knew that this is a dock where they transport drugs, and it's really heavy, and you saw them doing it, why couldn't we have another way of approaching this? Highlighting that you said you're gonna be touching land anyway, you got plans. So why you didn't make a, how can I say, because I'm not a military expert, but you know, I call it a care plan. But come up with a comprehensive plan where you're going to go and actually engage this particular dock. Figure out who's running it, getting names, locking people up, taking a whole bunch of stuff. It's a whole dock. So you know if the boat was filled up with D-rugs, then the dock has to be filled up with D-rugs, right? I mean, I'm just asking some questions here. I'm just trying to figure this out. But let's finish watch this because I really like Hindi news, how they broke this down and kind of put it all together for us.
Marks.
Can you say anything more about the explosion in Venezuela that you mentioned in the radio interview? Did the military do that? Can you share what you know about
Well, it doesn't matter, but there was a major explosion and
What the hell is, excuse me. Can y'all tell me what is this man doing right here? Okay, I ain't even want to say nothing because we're not about to be getting shadow banned because I'm going up to the federal level messing with people and calling out the shit. What is he doing right there? I'm moving forward.
The boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs, so we hit all the boats, and now we hit the
Y'all know who that
it's
is.
the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
Is that the only strike that the U.S. government?
I don't want to comment.
However, U.S. officials later told the Wall Street Journal that the CIA carried out the drone strike on that Venezuelan dock facility. The operation was described by CNN as the first known U.S. land strike inside Venezuela in recent years. A Wall Street Journal report suggested the CIA was unhappy about the exposure of its role in the strike and the public spotlight on covert action.
Duh. Duh. That's what I've been talking about. These covert actions, they call covert action, but literally pre-invasions of people, countries, messing up their policy, killing off people who are alive that don't follow the status quo that we want them to. This is what happens everywhere. They're like, why did you blow our cover? Stop it. I'm not. The alphabet boys, we know what you do. You run the same play all the time that you can't even hide. This is the same game. So they told Trump, why you telling them you messing up our covert actions? Didn't I tell you they've been there since 2016 when we did our background on this, when we broke it down? They've been going after Venezuela. They must got some good oil. All right, so this is the hint. These times, I want to say thank you to them. Now, this is what I want to talk about as well as we move forward. I didn't highlight that we have oil tankers. Again, we know that we stole some oil tankers and stuff. So I was like, damn, is that legal? What we got going on here? And also, we're going to get into our oil reserves versus Russia and China. This is just a basic Google search. I took a lot of information that I had and put it comprehensively, and I kind of review it like that. So it's for information, educational purposes only. I also already called out the contradiction in my research from Google to that, saying, oh, we don't have hostage. That's a misconception, misrepresentation. It literally was like, the lady was like, what are we going to do with the hostage? Right. So, okay, the legality of the United States seizing Venezuela oil tankers as of December 2025, it's a matter of significant international dispute right now. The United States government maintains the action was legal under domestic law, but international law experts and several other countries have argued it was a violation of international norm and potentially an act of piracy. All right, now this is going to get us into the conversation of how the other country is looking at us and how they will deal with us in the future. We have to care. I know we the big dogs. We the big dogs. We got everything. We America. No, stop it. Stop it. I'm just sounding like my grandma. Cut it out. We gotta be friends with our neighbors because resources come from all over the country. Things that don't grow here, grow there. Things that we make here, don't go there. We just have to do this no matter how big and bad we are. So just understand that other countries are looking at us the way we're dealing with people who have oil reserves, sanctioning them. They've been watching us for a lot of years and they're pretty much sick and tired of us. That's why the next live, we're going to break down exactly how China and Russia is separating themselves from the United States control of the oil. Okay? And that's going to directly reflect or affect our financial stability because our dollar, American dollar, is held by the sword, meaning that we force companies or countries and companies to trade oil in American money. That's what makes us strong. It's not a good reserve or something. It's not gold. But these other countries are backing it with gold and this blockchain stuff. It's a little bit too much. We're going to do a whole live on it, but we have to be prepared. We, me, and you. Because they thinking about them. And we thinking about us. You know, just keep it real. Because if they hit, I want them to hit the people who's messing with them, not all of us. Shit. That's why we like, tune in, international people. It's not all Americans that's a little slow and lost our damn mind and heart. We still have it. Now, this is the issue. Now, the U.S. government position on these tankers being seized. Basically, U.S. officials, including the Attorney General, because they're dealing with domestic law, not international, the White House press secretary stated that the seizure was executed under the U.S. federal court warrant. I'm sorry, y'all heard the buzzing like, okay. That's like applying state law to federal law in a federal case. You can only use significant comparison between state law that's coincide in a federal case if that particular case made it to even a federal Supreme Court in those particular cases. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all know how to represent yourself and y'all be doing the appeals and take it up to the feds. Like it's certain things that they just won't look at. Like, no. We talking about federal law. So how are we bringing a lower level law into international? But that's how we got to think because they'll throw that out. And we got the Trumpsters like, yeah, it's American law. But we got hundreds of countries that just have their own laws and we made treaties with them. We have to respect that. We have to. We need to. So basically, under American law, our government is saying that the sanction. This is a sanction invasion. One of their primary reasons why they're doing this. The U.S. government argued that the tankers were part of a illegitimate oil shipping network system that was invading U.S. sanctions against Venezuela and Iran. Oh, that's why we had that guy there. I'm not saying his name, but you know, Candice can't stand him. And you know they replaced the real people of God, but I'm gonna shut up. That was who that was. Go look at right next to him. What the hell he's sitting there for? Oh, because he our shadow president amongst all the other people. What did he have to do with Venezuela? But it's the Iran thing. We'll move forward. So also, the United States is arguing the terrorist link. The tankers was previously sanctioned for links to Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps. Um, Quad forces, which the United States has designated as foreign terrorists. And y'all know I hate that name. That's why I say it like that. Terror. The United States claimed that the oil sale funded narco-terrorism, and their last stance is stateless vessel argument. The United States officially justified boarding the ships by claiming that it was falsely flying a Guyana flag and was therefore stateless. Oh, snap. Okay, that made me think about it because I did this research on stateless people. Like if you give your nationality up and you don't have a citizenship in a country, you become stateless. You can't exchange. You can't buy, sell. You can't do nothing because nobody knows you. You're not part of a nation. So now they're saying that, oh, this is the other bases. They had a flag on there that didn't even represent that country. Wait, so how did they know that these wasn't Guyanese boats? Gotta get quiet. We gotta think about this. This doesn't make sense. So they had Guyanese flags up there, and we know that there was some survivors who was from Guam at the beginning. We talked about this. If y'all don't know, I'm gonna make different playlists. Maybe I'm gonna put a playlist that says Trump warlord, and it's gonna have everything, okay, with Venezuela, when we talk about Nigeria and everything, so you can go back because this is like series. I always follow up with the content that I talk about because everything is always evolving. Okay, so now let's get into the international perspective, which means the world to us, because at the end of the day, we don't live in this planet by ourselves. Okay. Many legal experts in several countries, including Venezuela, Russia, China, Cuba, all the countries who don't give a damn about fighting with us, just keeping it real, dispute the U.S. actions and legality under the international law. One, violation of sovereignty. Critics argue that the United States has no jurisdiction to enforce a unilateral domestic sanction on non-U.S. persons or foreign flag vessels in the international waters. Just like we said, international law is clear that sovereign states own the natural resources within their territory. The next violation, unlawful use of force. Experts suggest that the seizures by Army force constitute an unlawful use of force in violation of the UN Charter, as sanctions can generally only be imposed by the UN Council that we talked about. We're not supposed to be doing this. If we make a treaty with somebody, we got to follow it. We can't just do what we want to do. And lastly, act of piracy. Pirates of the Caribbean. Venezuela described the siege as an act of international piracy and looting and recolonization. Some U.S. lawmakers call the border U.S. blockage an act of war. Legal specialists noted that while the action might not technically be piracy in the legal sense because it was state endorsed, the term highlights the extreme nature of the action. So that's how they're looking at it. The United States, our government, not all of us, and then internationally how they're looking at it. Now, we're going to start to sum this up. We're about 53 minutes. I think we're going to go to 120. I need 20 more minutes of y'all time so I could get this in. Okay, we got a little bit to talk about. And one more thing I want to get into is...
Look, you could spend...
Hold on 1 second. is, the Russia, Venezuela, and China thing. I always miss this American oil reserve. Now, let's just talk about this a little bit because this is going to make us kind of think like where we're at financially. I know y'all can go right on there to the debt calendar, go look at it, the debt clock. That street running up every second, every microsecond, just moving. But we do got to think about other factors. So, this is what I put together: American oil reserve versus China oil reserve in Russia. Just a little breakdown. We're not too bad, but we got to compare this, okay? When comparing oil reserve, it is important to distinguish between the proven reserve and also the strategic petroleum reserve, okay? So there's two different ways to look at this. The United States hold more total oil reserve than Russia and China. While the US SPR is currently smaller than China's combined strategic and commercial investments. So allegedly we have more oil reserve on our land compared to these other countries, but they have more business endeavors and connections as far as getting more oil, allegedly. The GOP often criticized the current administration handling of the US SPR levels. That's dealing with our foreign relations. That's why he's doing what he's doing. Tell him what you do. I'm sorry, y'all. Look at this. I just saw it. Yeah, I got my ADHD kicked in. Look at that. Wait, shut up, y'all. I just saw him. Wait, y'all just saw. Look. Wait, they showing the boat strikes, and I turned around. I saw Maduro talking. Oh no, I got distracted. Every time I see Maduro, I see him dancing now. Hold up, I missed it. When they get back to it, I'm gonna show y'all. Maduro will be out there dancing, laughing at us. I don't know why. I'm sorry, I just caught ADHD real quick. All right, let's just get to it. Shut up. This is an American thing. American diagnosed. All right, let's get to this. Now, we sound... Shut up. Don't laugh at me, y'all. It sounds like we have more reserved than the other countries, but they have more links. And look how we're trying to get our links. We literally catching licks. And we putting, honestly, tariffs on people. We strong arming again. Now, total proven reserve in the United States versus China and Russia. United States, among the world's largest estimate, vary based on recoverable oil, especially shale oil, that's placed highly global. So if they're talking about that too, we have our reserve in shell companies. You know, shell companies have oil reserves all over the place. Now, don't quote me, but y'all remember Marcus Garvey was supposed to get land out in Africa, and then something happened. He got, what happened? They be pulling that cartel and pearl. And then all of a sudden, somebody outbid him for the land. That land was oil reserve. It is actually an oil company in America who bought the land for like $3 a square foot, and he was supposed to get it for $2. But this is one of what they're considering our reserves too. Just to give you a heads up. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, compared to China, they rank lower in proven reserve compared to the United States and Russia. It says Russia significantly proved reserve historically rank higher among the OPEC countries. So this is kind of abstract because when you talk about the OPEC countries, you're kind of talking about international. So the comparison for me was confusing because I said, okay, you saying that we have the highest globally, but then you in the same instance, you're saying that Russia has the highest amount in the OPEC countries. So let's just keep that in mind. I'm still trying to figure out if they have more than us or we have more than them, but we'll still dive a little deeper. Now, just into oil production, the United States, the world's largest oil producer, crude and products. This is the United States, y'all. I'm just keeping it real. China ranked 5th in global oil production. What's the difference between global and world? I'm telling you, ChatGPT, they be doing some biased stuff. What's the difference between global and world? I'm a little confused here because they use different terms and not. You see what I'm saying? Messing with my brain. But they're saying that China is the 5th global oil production. United States is the world's largest oil producer. And then it says Russia, the 3rd largest oil producer globally. So Russia is before China. They produce more than China. That's what I said. And then peep this. This is the last thing I'm gonna bring up because this is gonna get a little dry if I keep talking about numbers. We're gonna save that for nothing. Russia and China don't always report what the hell they doing. So this is based on what they report. Does that make sense? Why did the U.S. seize oil tankers off the coast of Venezuela? Let's see what they're saying in the news. I gave you a breakdown of what, my Google search was and their, perspective of why it was okay. But again, internationally, they're looking at us with the side eye. They looking at us with the side eye. Please hit the like button. Thank you for being here. I know I'm a little long-winded today, but I need you guys to get this work.
Moving on over to national news now. Reaction is pouring in after President Trump announced the seizure of a Venezuelan oil tanker off the country's coast. This is the latest step in a pressure campaign on Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, and signals an effort to go after one of the nation's largest revenue sources. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
After this, we're going to get to your comments real quick. This is like a 2-minute video.
The Trump administration released dramatic video of members of an elite U.S. Coast Guard unit rappelling from a helicopter to board and seize an oil tanker just after it left the Venezuelan port Wednesday.
It was seized for a very good reason.
The Justice Department alleged the tanker was used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran, saying for years it's been sanctioned due to involvement in an illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations.
What happens to the oil on this ship? Well, we keep it, I guess.
The seizure marks an escalation in a pressure campaign against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's regime.
This is what I saw, y'all. I'm sorry. That's what I call ADHD on, because I saw every time I see Nicolas Maduro, his ass dancing, and that song come in my head.
Over the U.S. military buildup off the coast of Venezuela and more than 20 strikes on alleged drug boats.
Wow.
Regime change. Even though Maduro's a bad guy, I'd like to see him go. But us trying to force it is never been successful U.S. policy.
The Trump administration, which has accused Maduro of narco-terrorism, does not view his leadership as legitimate, and President Trump has said he believes Maduro's days as president are numbered.
We are not involved at all.
This lady sus. I didn't do no deep research on her. This lady is supposed to be someone who is an activist and been on a run from Maduro, living outside of the country, because she talked against him. But mind you, he was actually voted in, and we broke this down. The people voted him in for the most part. But what that goes to say, it seems like she's playing some type of role for the United States, because she just popped out of nowhere. This lady, look at our last live. I see, can I put it in the in video link, because I talk a little bit about her, but I said I don't want to get distracted and go down the rabbit hole about what's going on with her, but there's allegedly threats against her family and all types of stuff. She had to move out the country. So I think they're using her as a proxy to show us some pain, usually issues, but I don't see a big backing behind her. So for them to call him illegitimate and the people actually voted him in is really out of pocket. It's just out of pocket.
Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, spoke in Norway one day after a ceremony to award her the Nobel Peace Prize.
I believe that President Trump's actions have been decisive to reach the point where we are right now, in which the regime is weaker than ever.
Venezuela's government in a statement called the oil tanker
now
seizure.
she probably get asylum here, huh? And I'm telling you, people who get asylum here ain't people just walking across the border. These people who working with our government as CIA operatives, allegedly.
A quote, shameless robbery, accusing the U.S. of trying to go after its oil.
All right, so now what we're gonna do is start to wrap this up, because I have a low battery. But what I do want to get to is the W allegedly for Trump. It's saying that Maduro said that he wants to talk to Trump. He wants to come to the table. Now, I thought it was cat until I saw another country played it. I was like, that's cat, but it's not. Let's play this right here. Is it playing?
From tools built for one.
What is that?
Platforms ready for many. From passion projects
Hold on, y'all.
to enterprise-grade systems.
Now, if y'all don't know why I'm broadcasting like this, guys, again, I have been severely blackballed by Democrats and a whole bunch of gang stalkers. That's why I have started fresh like this, but I love this broadcast. So please just hit the like button. You're in the kitchen with Grace every 3 days a week. everything. That didn't even sound good, but I'm working on it, y'all. Hit the like button. Let's see what's happening with this. This low. It says an interview with the state TV Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro said he is open to talking to Trump. It says because we've told many of our spokespersons that if they want to seriously, let's mute this, to seriously discuss negotiation. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. I want to hear what this is another news broadcast, and I think it's important because we got to hear it from another perspective. If they want oil, Venezuela is ready for U.S. investment. So he like, all right, since you want to steal oil, like, fuck it, let's go. Like, oh, that's crazy. That's what he said. This is what he said. If you want oil, let's come to the table. Because he said, basically, that's what you're doing, coming to steal oil. He says, like with Chevron, whenever they want it, wherever they want it is however they want it. So sometimes, basically, I think what he's saying is when these American-led companies want oil or they see a good reserve, this is what happened. So Maduro basically said, okay, we could talk if you want to buy. You want to buy some? Hold on, let's finish look at that. What I can tell you is that the national defense system, I'm reading it because they speak it in Spanish. Okay, which combine popular military and police forces, hold on, what you saying, Maduro, has generated and continues to guarantee, it says, territorial integrity. Okay, so basically he's like, yo, we're gonna hold it down. Okay, that's what he said. It says peace in the country and the use and enjoyment of our territories. That's what we stand for. So I guess that's what he's saying. He like, all right, I'll talk to you, Trump. You want to buy some oil from me? That's what he's saying. I was like, oh shit, Trump about to get a win. Now you could have been did this, Trump, without blowing up stuff. Possibly you could have sent the letter. Because Maduro like, yo, you want to buy some? Okay, let's get to your comments, and we're going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you for you guys being here with Lady Grace. I enjoyed doing this, talking from it from all different perspectives. Trump may have got a win today, or Maduro like, hey, you going to buy some oil? You already stole our tankers. You already got our goods. So let's get to it. Thank you, Christy, for being here. I miss you, girl. Happy New Year's. Happy holidays. It says we just gave Argentina $40 billion to fix their healthcare system. What? Thank you for telling me that, because when we talk about finance, we're going to look at what the... Shut it up. While Americans decide between food or medicine. And guess what happened? That push to lower down medicine for America, the drug companies who holding us by the balls after COVID, after we got in debt with all those contracts, with all them things that we bought that we end up throwing in the garbage, and we end up putting up collateral, like really putting up land for collateral to these. Baby, I did deep research into COVID. That shit is real. Like, they own a lot of lands through these contracts because we didn't fulfill all the orders. But we going to say that. They turned around and said, no, we're not lowering the drug prices. I know we're making all the fentanyl and we're just flooding it in through the hospitals. But yeah, we're going to talk about that on another date. Thank you, Christy, for bringing that up. While we are taxed to death, they tax your check, your bills, your purchases, etc. Everything that we buy, we triple and double tax. Thank you. What do we get in return? We pay for that's standing next to him. Y'all know, as a Hebrew, as a real Hebrew, we're really censored. So I'm gonna, y'all know when I talk about that, I'm gonna talk about it. But baby, they don't want us to talk about it. We talking about the people who acting, pretending to be the real, them right there. While we paying them and taking care of them. Thank you, Christy. Now, B said, all of the tariff lovers try not to pay income tax this year. I'm with you. I'm not even a tariff lover, but I'm really debating about these federal taxes and taking a penalty. Shit. Oh, God. There's something to debate about. Because y'all know some of us are really honorable about our bills. Unless I am. It's against God to be in debt. So I try not to buy nothing or be in debt that I don't need to be and pay my bills off. Because, you give and you return. But baby, this inflation and shit and what they doing to us, Hell to the no, no. To the no, no, no. Y'all didn't know I could sing. So with that goes to say, I'm not going to get to the rest of the comments. I got to go get my oil change, start my weekend. I want to say I love you guys. Shabbat shalom to the people who celebrate the Sabbath. Happy New Year to the people who celebrate New Year's. Love and blessings to the people across the world. Again, I'm going to impose something on you because that's just what we're going to do. I'm a true believer of my Lord and Savior, Yahshua, and we're going to always go out with a bang, just like this. Remember this. Remember this. Okay? Let's get it. Let's get it. I'll get it together. I'll be streaming right one day. We got it. Hit the like button. We got it. Let's do that one more time from the top. Like and subscribe, baby. Have a beautiful day, guys. Love and blessings to you guys. Thank you for being with me. Global equal world. They play word games with me. What'd he do?